So now I'd like to talk about the structure and arrangement of Sarah, of that piece. I'd really just like to highlight the simple beauty of this piece, particularly in the mainstream rock tradition. We don't commonly find these chromatic modulations, chordal extensions. That's because this piece is written written by Phil Lynott and Gary Moore in a Latin jazz rock ballad style, and it avoids being too saccharine or sweet by keeping things simple, a simple structure, an interesting Latin upbeat pulse, emphasizing the upbeat rather than the downbeat, and the chord progressions as well. Everything's very simple, but the way it's put together, once you dig a little deeper and analyze it, you can see why this is such an effective piece. So I'll start with the verse. We'll talk about the chords, the melody, mention a little bit about the pulse and the rhythm. And then we'll do the same in the chorus. That's even simpler. But then most of the discussion will focus on the solo, the chord structure, the harmony and the melody. So we're in A major, essentially. So what's going on there? We're in A major. And the first appearance of a chord that is not normally found in mainstream rock music is the G6-9 chord here. For a start, we don't get a chord of G in A major, so it's a non-diatonic chord. But that's fine and totally expected and welcome, because we're using the Mixolydian mode, and our chords are extensions. That means there's notes added to them. So on the root note of G, we have an E and an A. D major, G6-9, which steps down half a step to F sharp minor 7, B minor 7, D, E are dominant in A. But there's no G sharp, either in the harmony or in the melody. So we're on a G Mixolydian, we're not in G Mixolydian. I don't think you can be in a mode, you can be on a mode. In jazz, probably, you can be in a mode, but in rock music, we would say we're making use of the notes of G Mixolydian, and the G is the flattened seventh. But the chords are extended, giving it that Latin jazz flavour. The melody. In the verse, no mention whatsoever of either G or G sharp. We're just staying on the suspended fourth, resolving back down to the third of A, then our F sharp, and a B for the dominant. So that's all well and good. What about the pulse? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do the chords. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything's on an upbeat. All the emphasis is on that tap, 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 tap. Gives it that Latin pulse. And if you put the two elements together, particularly with the chords being down here in second position, generally that's quite straightforward. And then the chorus is even simpler, the melody in the chorus. Chords are A, B minor 7, C sharp minor 7, D6, and the extensions to those chords, I haven't listened incredibly closely to the original, but the vocal harmonies are all at the top of the chords, that's why I'm calling that D6. So that's A, B, C sharp, D, and the chorus chords are moving quicker than in the verse. The pulse in the verse is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 chords per bar. Each chord gets 2 beats. We have some passing chords in the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So there's a chord per beat, so we get 2 beats, a beat each for those chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now suddenly this passing chord of G6-9 assumes a different role. It becomes a substitute, in inverted commas, for the dominant, because primarily because it precedes a return to the tonic after the chorus. So the chorus is why am I saying that's a substitute for the dominant? It contains an A, we have a G root note. G has nothing to do with the dominant in A major. An E and an A and a D. It's not a million miles away from E7. So this is our little modal gesture where the G6-9 chord in A, chord of the flat 7th, extended chord, becomes a substitute for the dominant. And also rhythmically it stays there for at least a bar. I think that in my arrangement anyway, when it precedes the solo, it's there for 2 full bars. So rhythmically it asserts its own dominance because it stays there. And then we return to the verse. And then the chorus again. Here's the Moment of Glory by Gary Moore. We're in our substitute dominant, or let's call it the dominant, awaiting the return of A major, and we don't get A major. Our ears have been trained through Western culture and also in this piece centered on A because we're in A. The melody makes much use of that note. The harmony makes much use of A because we have an A chord, we have an F sharp minor 7, whose third is A. Incidentally, we also have a B minor 7, whose 7th is A. Back to the dominant. So our ears are hearing this a lot. By the time we get to the end of the second chorus, what does the guitarist do? What does Gary Moore do? That opening gambit, A sharp, from this chord here, that gesture sounds very quite angular and chromatic, but if we put it in the context of the sun comes out, because our ears are rooted in that A, and he gives us the third of the tonic, C sharp. That rising sixth is such a classic opening gambit to A sharp, which changes the expected F sharp minor into F sharp major. So the minor to major gesture. And also the root note of our G6-9 chord falls a semitone. So it's classic voice leading. In the solo we get the harmony 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then the semitone rise at the end, which avoids the common Mutt Lange, Cher, Bon Jovi, Garth Brooks, Trucker's gear change, because it's a gesture that our ears have already been trained in. That semitone rise in the melody is echoed, you could argue, in the harmony at the end. And then I do a little gesture. So back to the solo. Our chords are moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. What are those chords? We've F sharp major 7. Then we get B minor 7, an E in the bass, and we're back in A. We never modulate to F sharp major. It's a gesture. It's a hint. It's a nod, but it's substantial nonetheless. So F sharp major 7, B minor 7, E in the bass, A major 7, D major 7, C sharp minor 7, which conveniently is can be seen as the root note of the root note of A dominant gesture. Back to F sharp major 7, B minor 7, E in the bass. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. And then the chorus, everything just shifts up a semitone. Slash chord on A flat, 6/9. So yeah, a beautiful piece of jazz rock fusion. Lovely. Thanks for listening. If you want a more detailed explanation of how I arranged the melody and chords, just like, subscribe, etc. Thank you.